we are preparing for Watches and Wonders. But we'll get there. We get there. As always, Wade. You know, if there's a will, there's a plan, and I will make it happen.
Let's hope that this is the last lockdown, you know, and that
it probably it is, Wade. Probably it is for a while.
It feels
yes.
that way to me as well, you know, and I think that as we can see the sort of rate of vaccination doing quite well in a lot of countries. I think soon we will be able to face some semblance of normality. But in the meantime, it seems like people have renewed their interest in watches more than ever, right? And people are excited about watches. People have been buying watches certainly here in Singapore. And it's interesting too, because it seems to me that there's also been a real resurgence in interest in watches that have a very artisanal and very personal voice, you know, I guess expressed through, for example, independent watchmaking. But when I think of a brand or a larger brand that has such a unique perspective on watchmaking, that has such a singularity in terms of design, that has such extraordinary craft, encoded in every movement and every hand engraved balance clock, I can't think of a brand that embodies it more than Lange Söhne. Would you agree, sir?
For sure. How can I not agree with this?
So I have to say I'm a huge fan of your tourbillons. As you know, the Porte-la-Mairie tourbillon is probably one of my favorite watches ever created. You know, first watch with a chain infusé as well.
Yes.
And a magnificent piece. But I think in 2012, you created another tourbillon, which I also was blown away by. And this is the famous Lana 1 tourbillon with a perpetual calendar, but not any perpetual calendar. One that really thought about how do I display all the calendar information in a dial that is not the biggest dial in the world. And I want to keep the watch wearable. So tell us a little bit about this watch and what it means to you in terms of the
And actually, you forgot to add one additional challenge for the construction people is a Lange 1 should always look like a Lange 1. And because it has that strong face, it means also that you have to find your workarounds in displaying things, and it still looks like a Lange 1, like we did with the time zone, which we launched last year. Again, a similar challenge, you know, where do you put all the information without destroying the face? Now, we went the extra mile with, as we launched this one, fully integrated tourbillon into the movement. That's why it actually came out so flat, and the diameter, it's roughly the size of a Lange 1 time zone. So it's 41.9 millimeter in diameter. And 12.2 millimeter in height, which is a very wearable thing because we emphasize greatly on, you know, it has to go around small wrists. I'm the perfect role model for this because my wrists aren't gigantic. So when Tony comes with the watch, I try it and then we'll see whether it works on small wrists, but it also will work on bigger wrists, which is usually a lot easier. So the secret of that watch was the integration into the movement. So it was not just any movement and then we put a tourbillon or a perpetual calendar on top of it. It's all integrated. That's why we got away with actually a very small wearable space. Even you take two big complications into consideration that are in that specific watch.
Yeah, you know, what I love about that watch was it was a re-envisioning of how to display perpetual calendar information. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is this peripheral month.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, sir.
It was very easy. You know, usually all perpetual calendars, they work from the center and they use the 48-month wheel to display the 4 different years. Problem here is we don't have a centralized dial. We have a decentralized dial. So we had to do it totally different from the word go. So instead of having a 48-month wheel, we have an outer ring that actually is displaying these 48 different months. So a total different approach to the stone old challenge of, you know, creating mechanical perpetual calendars. And then we went the extra mile. And again, you have that space. You have to have that in mind, because if you have all the space on the planet to play with, you can do everything. But if you want to have it really small and wearable, then you start really thinking hard. And what impressed me the most as we launched the watch was that not only the idea of the 48 ring, but also that everything jumps instantaneously at around 12 o'clock. Which again, it's all tiny little differences. That's why this year our big theme is subtle differences. I know that nobody is usually awake at 12 o'clock midnight seeing it all jumping, but collectors want to know it.
I'll say
and you do.
Well, I think you make a really good point. I think that the precision of having an instantaneous perpetual calendar was something quite a revolutionary in the context of the time. The majority of perpetual calendars, and actually even still today, they kind of slowly change over from, let's say, 11 o'clock to 12, and even at 2 o'clock, you're still kind of slowly changing over.
Absolutely.
I love the German precision of like, no, if it's 1 second past 12, we must be in the new day, the new month, everything, which I love.
It also, we all know that there was always a big red flag on don't touch your perpetual calendar around midnight.
Yeah.
Because all the indications were moving, and if you then fiddle around with it, the likelihood that you damaged something was pretty high. Even here, we do recommend not, to use half an hour around it, but it's less sensitive, of course, because it's not one by one. It all goes like this. I at least can't see it with my eyes. It's too quick to jump. Even the outer ring, the monthly ring, and that actually does a jump by 30 degrees. So that's quite a little bit of way it has to move, but I can't see it. It's too quick for my eyes.
Amazing. And I think my favorite detail of that watch, and of course the new watch as well, which is using the perpetual calendar, is, so in the original Lange one, you had a very famous power reserve indicator, right? So here you have like a bit of a wink, to the Lange one, because it looks like a power reserve indicator until you look closely and you realize actually it's a retrograde day display. That I think is phenomenal and super poetic.
Yes, but again, because the first Lange one Tourbillons, they were hand-wound watches. And then, of course, you need a power indication that you don't forget to wind your watch. The Lange one Perpetual, Tourbillon, and the new one, they're all automatic movement. So you don't really need a power reserve indication. And, I also love the idea, and, that's not from my time, that was even the times before, that they just mirrored the face. You can easily see whether it's a hand-wound Lange one or an automatic, because actually then it's turned, and it's so subtle that most people will not even see the difference until you tell them, look, they just moved it.
It's fantastic. Yeah, they flipped it. It's wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about the new watch that's about to be launched. So you've taken this wonderful perpetual calendar, and you've done that for a Lange one specifically, right? So this is a non-tourbillon version, but an amazing looking watch, which I have to say has an amazing day-night indicator. Let's get into that a little bit later. But let's talk about this new model, sir.
Let's start with, actually, the movement is not just the old movement where we took the tourbillon out and replaced it by a normal escapement. It's actually based on a complete different caliber. It's actually the diametric caliber that this movement is based on. And then, we love legibility. Legibility means also you have to have a very clear hierarchy of your information, and you have to reduce to the max, because otherwise it becomes all very busy. And then we remember that we launched the Lange one Moon Phase a couple of years ago, where for the first time we solved the problem of is it now midnight or is it lunchtime, by using the moon phase that changes the back in light blue or dark blue, depending whether it's day or night. And the same mechanism actually is installed here. That's why we have not forgotten the day-night indication on the dial. It's actually integrated into the moon phase.
Yeah, that's genius and also super useful. I mean, as you were saying before, this perpetual calendar is a much easier one to adjust because you don't have a wide time difference where things are changing over because it's instantaneous. But at the same time, what you probably don't want to do is, pull your crown out when it's anywhere close to midnight. And at least now, with one quick glance at your moon phase, if it's dark blue and you're 11:58 or 11:59, then you're like, okay, I'm not going to pull my crown out, right?
Now it's the wrong moment to try.
Exactly. No, absolutely fabulous watch, and it's done in 2 versions. And I know we had this conversation before because I remember once I went to go look at a watch that was in your window, and I said, Willem, that's a beautiful salmon dial. And you said, wait, that's not a salmon dial. That's a pink gold dial, and now we've got the pink gold dial again. So tell us about this because I think this is going to be one of the hottest watches in the market.
I know it, and Tony always goes up and say, no, we don't have, it's not a fish, it's pink gold. It's not a salmon, it's pink gold. So it's really untreated, solid pink gold. Of course, the surface is decorated. That's why it doesn't look like straight pink gold, but it is pure pink gold, not even coated. In a combination with the white gold case, I think it gives a perfect and quite unique appearance. We use it quite sparely, I have to say, because again, it's not easy to produce these dials. And that's why we use it only for a limited edition. This is again a limited edition. Like the datograph Perpetual Tourbillon. I think that was the last time that we used that specific dial.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the one that I was looking at. I was fogging up the window outside of your booth at the old SA. You came by and you're like, "Wait, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Oh man, I love that salmon dial." And you're like, no, pink gold." So I love that. And I got to ask you, it looks to me like the pink gold version, the pink gold case, right?
Yes.
With the silver or the gray dial. Does that have luminous hands?
The gray dial, yes. The pink gold dial, no. We on purpose distinct it a little bit. On the gray, it comes very strong, specifically at night. That's why we put the luminous hands on the gray dial. On the pink gold dial, we kept it on the more elegant side, which is then without the luminous hands.
Okay, so perfect. So you got something for everyone then. Someone who wants that luminous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Personally, I would go white gold, pink gold dial. That thing. I mean, I imagine that the embargo's lifting April 7th, right? I would imagine by April 7th, mid-afternoon, they'll be sold out. So 150 pieces, guys. You heard it here first. Don't hesitate. Call up Charles from Singapore. If you're in Singapore, you need one. I'll post his mobile number shortly on the Zoom.
Charles, your life will become hell.
Yes. You're on mute. It's the quote of 2020.
Yes.
They're already calling my phone. Wait, sorry.
That's a massively cool watch. I love it. Congratulations, Willem. I absolutely adore this watch, and I think it's great.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's go from there to another one of my favorite watches. Actually, we can go all the way back to 2004 when you guys first dropped one of the coolest watches of all time, the famous double split, right? And that was the world's first chronograph that had a split seconds reading, but also a split minute reading. And actually, that was super useful because when you're trying to read a split second function, right, and say you're at like 2 seconds before the next minute, right, you won't have time to react to acknowledge which minute you're actually in. So the fact that you guys resolved that was incredible. The fact that watch had a double isolator, if I'm not mistaken, so an isolator for the seconds and for the minutes, so that you could leave that watch split if you wanted to, as long as you wanted to. You could go have lunch and come back and keep the chronograph running and keep it split. I thought it was incredible. Then, of course, you followed this up in 2018 with the triple split. And you did it, I think, in basically the same size case as the
It is, indeed, yes.
Which I thought was quite remarkable. So you basically added a 12-hour counter, which can also have a split function. So now we're coming with a beautiful rose gold and blue dial version of this. Sir, tell us about this watch, because I love it.
It's a new iteration of the triple split. Triple split in white gold, gray dial is sold out. believe it or not, if you ask our watchmakers, where do you rather work on, a Perpetual Calendar, a Tourbillon, or a triple split? Most will tend to the first two I mentioned. Triple split to work on is not for the faint-hearted, and it really needs quite some talent to master that beast. But again, it also means that you can't just stop and go. Once you're in the flow as a watchmaker to work on that watch, we need to give work to them. And that's why we came up with the second iteration, on purpose, totally different. And unusually, because I think we never had the combination of a pink gold case with a dark blue dial, to my knowledge. So on purpose, the design language of that triple split is totally different to the design language we used for the version that we launched 2018. And also different to the double split, to not to have a clear distinction between the three watches.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes perfect sense. And it's got a, I mean, I'm looking at it now. The design language is different. It's a completely different identity for this watch.
Yes.
It's a pretty stunning piece, though. I have to say, I've always thought this watch, also considering what the price is, to be actually a remarkable value for what it is. Because, it's hard to, well, Rattrapants in general are, I mean, some of the rarest, I mean a proper artisanal manual in Rattrapant. I don't mean it.
Absolutely.
Like something like this is extraordinary. And then to have that, the triple split function with the hour being able to split that as well. Willem, what's the price of this watch? As I recall, I always think that's a great value.
That's the European price. Jesus, now you caught me. I think 100. And Charles, what is the price in Singapore? That's probably more important.
Yeah, Wilhelm, I will give it to you in a second. Sorry, hold on. I have in Singapore dollar.
I think it's 138,000 euro.
Yes. Yes.
But I don't know the Singapore. To be honest, I'm happy if I remember all the prices in Germany, including German VAT. I'm a little lost regarding pricing the rest of the world.
But I've always thought that like at 138,000 euro, 138 or 39,000 euro, I think that that is quite remarkable because it's a completely original conception and execution,
Well, it's in our hierarchy of watches, as you know, because we have the datograph, we have the 1815 chronograph, and you can clearly see, as we build up complications, of course, it's getting a little bit more expensive. But we also believe there has to be, your own pricing has to make sense within the context of your product range, of your watch assortment, and that's what we try to fit in. And there, the triple split fit in where it is now. Amazing,
absolutely stunning watch. Whoa, look at that.
There it is.
Yeah, that is. Yeah,
it's still for me probably the most beautiful movement we ever launched. It's this one, or my all-time favorite, which is the datograph Perpetual Tourbillon, with that massive tourbillon. It's a close shave, the one or the other.
Either one, I don't think you'll be an unhappy guy. They're both extraordinary watches. Okay, well, why don't we go from there to something that is beautiful, unexpected, a little bit decorative. The little Lange 1 moon phase, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this. First of all, at 36.8 mm, because I've actually tried this watch on before, like this size watch. I actually think it's quite a good size. Like as a guy, I would wear it. I know like my friend Mark Cho, who's an incredibly he just posted about his little Lange 1 as well, and he's super elegant dude. So I think 36.8, like this watch right here, I would have absolutely no issue wearing it. I think it's an amazing watch. But tell us a little.
And to be honest, that's not a lady's watch. To make that, it's not a man's watch. It's a Lange Söhne, and people tend to forget the little Lange 1 originally was developed for the Japanese market, because in those days 38.5 millimeter was deemed as too big for the Japanese market, and therefore Blümlein said, let's bring a Lange 1 make it a little smaller. That's why you don't see the typical push button at 10 o'clock where you can adjust the date. That's not possible with that size of case, but that's the only difference between the two movements. And it was not meant to be a lady's watch or a man watch. It was just a Lange Söhne in a different diameter, which is the same case here. I tell you what, Wei, as I saw that watch for the first time in the flesh, it's the one watch that you can't actually take photos of and justify the beauty.
Wow.
And I'm absolutely with you. I think we will see quite a few people that actually, men or women, that's going to wear the watch. It is just top gorgeous. It just, you know, that, and it's dark blue unless you expose it to light. And then all these tiny little things, the metal flecks come out. It just gives it such a great appearance, such a nice face. That's why we launched it after the success of the Saxonia Thin Oven in Turin. But I think this has even more to give because there are more, it's just more on it on a dial. And it suits the Lange one perfectly.
Yeah, I absolutely adore it. I think it's just an absolutely stunning watch, you know. And also we should not forget to mention that there is a diamond bezel version of this watch as well with 56 diamonds. Which again, I don't think necessarily, you know, honestly, I think that you can see there's so many men who are enjoying to collect gem set or stone set watches, complicated watches as well. So I think that it's completely open.
Absolutely. And that's why we gave both alternatives. You know, you can order it as you wish because some like diamonds, some don't. You see it with the diamonds and I think it, you know, it's still a subtle watch if you put it around your wrist, and it will, you know, it will explain the full beauty only if you look closer to it. So that moon phase indication with the polished moon and all the little laser cut stars, that will only disclose to you if you come closer to it, which is typical Lange, isn't it?
628 laser cut stars.
Yes. Yes, I wasn't the one that was counting them. Wait, trust me.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, I think the 2021 is off to a good start already. You know, very impressive watches. I love all three of them. I know a few more things in store over the course of the year, but I have to say,
trust me. You know, I think what we did last year was a good dry run for this year. So there are a few more things under our sleeves for the rest of the year. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And like I said, I think, you know, the world is in a very interesting place where there's a genuine search for authenticity. There is a real re-interest also in sort of like understanding things with depth, understanding things with real craft, understanding things with an individual language and with real horology, you know, and I can't think of a word that expresses that more than Lana. So I think there's so many opportunities.
Thank you, Wei.
And love seeing you and hope to see you in person soon.
Me too. Wei, I'm pretty sure comes summer, we'll all have our freedom back, at least to some extent. And I can't wait having a good glass of champagne with you, my man.
I'm looking forward.
Definitely. Stay healthy, Wei. I envy you a little bit. You probably get your injection before me. Anyhow, enjoy it and enjoy life.
Thank you. Well, my injection just means I can come see you sooner. So thank you very much.
Definitely.
I will.
Ciao, take care. Bye-bye.